Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I'm on the road. I'll be back home. We'll go back home tomorrow. So we are here at the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn. So we can work on this house and get it together. I think today I'm going to be seeing Jet D. I think he's actually going to come over and help us do some work on the house, which will be great. Definitely can always use some more help with some of the stuff that we're doing. So, in looking at the Dallas Cowboys, and I feel like I'm going to run over by a truck. Crawling underneath that house at my age is not an easy thing to do, but you got to do what you got to do. So I'm a little bit out of it this morning, so forgive me. In fact, let me get a little bit more coffee. This offseason has been kind of crazy, to say the least. We've lost some players that we look at and we say, damn, we don't want to lose those guys. Of course, the Amari Cooper one, and last night I was going through and saying that maybe part of this is the plan that the Cowboys offense is evolving. And they're evolving in a way where we'll be using less three wide out sets. The thing that the Cowboys did so well last year, and actually the last couple of years, is 12 personnel, which is two tight end sets. I'm not saying that Amari Cooper wouldn't be good to have in that formation. You could have CD and Amari, and those are your two wide receivers. But they made a calculated decision that we need the cap room, and they just made a bad deal. Maybe if they'd gotten a second-round pick, we would look at it and say, y'all are stupid. But regardless of that, there may have actually been a plan there to get better without spending money. Quite frankly, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, when they've given out all of the big contracts to players, very few of them, if any, do you ever look back and say, oh my God, that was a great contract and glad we did that. More times than not, we look back and say, man, we paid too much money, or that guy didn't work out, and so on. The thing that's worked well for the Cowboys is actually drafting. So we have Dee Williams, formerly known as Sam Williams. I'm getting a da-da-da. Let me double check here on Twitter. Gina, my future daughter-in-law. Oh, so we're looking at, say what? Supposedly, okay. We're looking at footage of the Jones accident. Let's see. Shout out to Gina. I appreciate that, Gina, that update. We just ended up getting footage of Jerry Jones's car accident that leaves some more questions on what the heck. Was it his fault because, or was it the other person's fault? I think it's got to be the other person's fault unless it was a turn lane that he was supposed to be turning and didn't turn. But be that as it may, the car went in front and boom. I don't know if the airbags deployed or not. But anyway, back to the original thing. We won't know if this season was really a mess or actually ends up being better. The thing that's kind of crazy about the Cowboys is so many times the Cowboys have done these mega deals for people, and they end up being, you look at it a couple years later like, man, why did we pay that guy? It just didn't work out. And maybe the Randy Gregory situation could be one of those. Now, the Cowboys drafted Dee Williams, a great draft prospect. In fact, much like Randy Gregory, his draft stock dropped because of alleged allegations. He should have probably been a first-round draft pick. His draft prospect grade, because here's where I want to compare apples to apples. Michael's over here shaking his head and stuff, but did you use some of that hot sauce?
No, it's because we got another first-round talent discounted.
Well, we'll see if this one works out. Okay, his draft prospect grade was a 6.31, which they say will eventually be a plus starter, as in a above average starter. Here's where it's interesting, because as I went through the numbers this morning, his 40-yard dash, he was a 4.46. That's fast. That's really fast for a defensive end. Okay? 4.46. His vertical jump 32.5. His broad jump 123. The other thing that stood out to me is this. He's 6'4", 264 pounds. Okay? 261 pounds going 4.46. That's being able to bend the edge and get up to that quarterback's ass. Definitely the length that the Dallas Cowboys love with guys. They love guys that are taller and things. But 6'4" and 261, well, that's about how much I weigh right now. So if you were to stretch me out, about another 5 inches, that's what you have from him. Here's where it's kind of cool. We can compare draft prospect to draft prospect. Randy Gregory coming out of Nebraska. His draft grade was a 6.81, year one starter. They looked at him and said, this boy can play. He was 6'5", okay? An inch taller than Dee Williams. He's no longer Sam, doesn't want to be called Sam anymore, wants to be known as Dee, because his name is DeGarrett. Randy Gregory was only 235 pounds. 235 pounds, arm length, about 3/4 of an inch longer arm length. His statistics wise, so Randy Gregory is taller and leaner. So you would think that would be, Randy Gregory would be faster. You've got Dee Williams, who's a little shorter and stockier. Randy Gregory's 40 was a 4.64. That's 0.2 of a second almost slower. That one blew me away. I didn't realize how fast Dee Williams was. Vertical leap, Randy Gregory could jump taller. Broad jump, about a wash. Randy Gregory was about 2 inches further. Now, as we dig a little deeper, I don't know if you guys realize how proficient he was in college. His first year as a starter, 6 sacks. His second year, 4. And his third year, his last year, 12.5 sacks. 22.5 sacks he's had in his career at Ole Miss. 134 total tackles. 32.5 tackles for loss. And 4 fumbles. And I believe he was the 4th highest rated player in the NCAA in forced fumbles. That's good. That's really good. Compare that to Randy Gregory's college stats. Randy Gregory, 2-year starter. 2-year starter. So you got to look at that and say, well, he didn't start as long. His 2013 season, he had 9.5 sacks. That's great. His 2014 season, he had 7 for a total of 16.5. Interesting. Now, when we go to the NFL, here's what's kind of amazing. At this very moment, this is a crazy coincidence. Randy Gregory's college career, 2 years, 16.5 sacks. Randy Gregory, who has had multiple suspensions, of course, and has yet to really pan out the way that you would expect, has a total of 16.5 sacks in his pro career in 5 years. The exact same number he had in college. Wow, that's kind of crazy. So, here's the next part of this. I want you to think about this. So, in 1 year, Sam Williams, 12.5 sacks his last year in college. Randy Gregory, 5 years. Now, I know college is not the pros, but if we're looking at apples to apples and comparing what Randy Gregory did in college, and if we look at what Randy Gregory did his first year as a Dallas Cowboy, Sam Williams has the opportunity to blow that out the water. Randy Gregory's rookie year, he had 11 total combined tackles. 7 were solo tackles and 4 tackles for loss, and not a zero sacks. So looking at Dee Williams in comparison there, you looking at his build, his size, coming out of the box, his body may be more ready to play in the NFL, even though his draft rating isn't quite as high. You look at that and say, the Cowboys, knowing that second-round draft pick costs you peanuts as opposed to a $75 million deal, this may be a move that the Cowboys look at next year or the year after and say, damn, we're glad that we didn't end up getting that deal with Randy Gregory and having that high bill. Just saying. When you look at the numbers and seeing what you've seen in college and knowing that you have a Dan Quinn to coach him up, this could end up being really, really good. And FYI, going back to Randy Gregory, the best 2 seasons that he's only had 6 sacks in both of those, 2021 and 2018. Now, I'm not going to say that Randy Gregory isn't a really good player, because he does get up the field. And he is a good player when you get him on the field consistently. But he does make a lot of boneheaded penalties. So we'll see how that works out. But I tell you what, I think Sam is going to be a beast for the Dallas Cowboys. Because, one other thing too. The other thing about him is he won't be the focal point. You have so many other players that are going to be on this defensive front. It's going to be hard for you to focus in on Sam. He is going to be like the Alvin Harper of the Cowboys offense. Alvin Harper was great because everybody's worried about, stopping Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and things like that, and then there's Jay Novacek there. Alvin Harper is kind of like, okay, he's the last guy we're thinking about. Cowboys, you're going to have to worry about where's Micah Parsons, okay? He's the first guy you worry about. Then you worry about D-Law, and then you got Neville Gallimore. There's too many guys on that defensive front to contain. So we'll see if it works out. This may be one of those moves that the Cowboys get condemned for right now, losing Randy Gregory, but may come back again like the Micah Parsons draft pick. Man, they were smart to get that guy. At the time, they were like, the Cowboys, they drafted an offside linebacker. They're stupid. They should have gotten a D-back. Go to show they don't always know what they talking about, do they? All right, good people. I've got work to do. It's pouring down rain outside, and I got to get up under a house. I'll see you guys later. Peace.